Have you ever wondered why your legs feel tired when you keep running? It is because the muscles undergo a process called respiration, where they need oxygen to produce a lot of energy, and does not make you feel what we can also call as fatigued. Cellular respiration is of two types, aerobic and anaerobic. Aerobic, from the name itself we can see, it involves aero, means air. That means it needs oxygen. And anaerobic will be exactly the opposite, that is, it doesn't need oxygen. Now, aerobic respiration, it leads to production of carbon dioxide, water, and ATP. A lot of it. Whereas the anaerobic respiration, any sort of rigorous process like riding a bike, running, involves rapid muscle movement, and hence anaerobic respiration, as the oxygen supplied is not enough. This causes production of lactic acid and a small amount of ATP from the pyruvic acid. And so here is $1,000,000 question. This is an overall process of respiration, details of which we will study later. But let us just take a peek at it. The first phase that we can see here is called glycolysis. It occurs irrespective of the fact whether the body is undergoing aerobic respiration or anaerobic respiration. Hence, the end product, that is pyruvate, will always be formed. But after this point, if the organism's body is exposed to oxygen deficient conditions, which will lead to anaerobic respiration, a new process, fermentation, will occur, which will lead to production of lactate or lactic acid or alcohol. Let us first focus on aerobic respiration. Our body needs energy to function. Processes like cell division, muscle movement, protein synthesis, signal transfer through the neurons, movement of molecules, and metabolism all need energy. All living organisms need energy, be it animals or plants. Let us look at the difference between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. In case of aerobic respiration, as we discussed earlier, it needs oxygen, whereas anaerobic respiration does not require oxygen. Aerobic respiration leads to production of ATP as Aerobic respiration leads to production of a lot of ATP. This is the general equation for aerobic respiration, where a glucose molecule combines with oxygen to produce carbon dioxide, water, and energy in form of ATP. ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate. It is also known as the currency of energy. Aerobic respiration occurs in the cell, particularly in an organelle known as mitochondria, which is also known as the powerhouse of the cell. This location for energy production is common in all types of complex organisms. In plants, energy production occurs through a process called photosynthesis. It involves exchange of gases through stomata, where carbon dioxide enters the plants and is used up, whereas oxygen is given off as a byproduct of the process of photosynthesis. Comparing these two processes, we can see photosynthesis is the exact opposite of respiration. In case of photosynthesis, glucose and oxygen is produced, whereas carbon dioxide and water is used. Whereas in case of respiration, glucose and oxygen is used and carbon dioxide and water is produced. As discussed, photosynthesis stands for synthesis by the use of photons, that is light. Therefore, plants produce glucose by using sunlight, which is then used by us in respiration and thus converted to carbon dioxide, water, and ATP. Moving on to anaerobic respiration. During rigorous muscle movement, the body needs a lot of oxygen. Therefore, it has to pump the blood faster to fulfill this excess demand. And when this demand is not fulfilled, the cells undergo anaerobic respiration. For example, when a cheetah chases its prey, its muscles are under a lot of stress and need a lot of oxygen to sustain this stress, which the lungs and heart can't provide. This leads to increase in the heart and breathing rate in order to remove the oxygen debt generated. Still, due to the less amount of oxygen available, the muscles undergo anaerobic respiration. This process includes conversion of glucose in absence of oxygen to lactic acid and a small amount of energy. We can see that as compared to aerobic respiration, carbon dioxide and water is not generated in anaerobic respiration, but instead lactic acid is generated, which then accumulates in the muscles. More the body is exposed to oxygen deficiency, more lactic acid is produced, and it travels through the bloodstream and accumulates in the muscles under stress. This slowly leads to fatigue in these muscles, as the amount of energy is not sufficient for them to keep up the work, and a large oxygen debt is generated. But once the body is under rest, aerobic respiration kicks in and the oxygen debt is removed by the abundant supply of oxygen provided. Some animals like yeast and some plants which have to respire in waterlogged areas can also produce ethanol as a result of anaerobic respiration. Here the glucose molecule in absence of oxygen is converted to alcohol and carbon dioxide and a large amount of energy. This process is called fermentation. It provides a major advantage to bakery and brewery industries. The brewery industries benefit from it due to the production of alcohol as an end product, whereas the bakery industries benefit due to the high quality of soft breads and cakes produced. For instance, due to the activity of yeast undergoing anaerobic respiration, carbon dioxide is produced, which helps the dough to rise, hence leading to production of a good quality of bread.